Okay, one way to make a dot plot in Excel is to cheat a little bit. And what we see here is one of the questions from if we have a bunch of Olympic medals and different countries have won a certain number of medals. I think this was for 2012 Olympics. How do we actually create this nice looking dot plot here? And so we had an original piece of data that had Lithuania had 0, and the United States had 46, and China had 29, a bunch of different numbers on it. And the first thing that happened is we analyzed that data to then create essentially points on our graph. So if you imagine this as a Cartesian plane, I'm plotting the point 0, 1, and I end up with this data point. And so I just have to count how many times do I have no medals won for a country. So it turned out to be 9, so I had to, or in this case actually it looks like 11, so I had to create 0, 1, 0, 2 all the way up to 0, 11 to indicate these 11 data points. Then I counted how many had 1, and it was 6, so I had 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, and so I create the dots by essentially making a scatter plot of all of these points. And so once you get that data translated into this data set, you can use the chart, so insert and a chart, and when you do that, just make sure you pick a scatter chart with that data, and you'll get a basic looking scatter plot. So to go from this scatter plot to a nicer looking one like I have here, some things that I've done: I've added an axis on each side. I've changed the scaling of these axes. These are actually little blue diamonds. And so I've gone from diamonds to circles. I've taken away series 1. I've given it a nice chart title. I've taken off these lines here. And most of that can be done by changing things in the chart layout. So you can change the chart title. There's none right now, but you can give it one, and it'll add one into the top. I'll just take that away. You can change the axes. You can take away the fact that there's a legend, get rid of that little legend. Right now there's these lines going across. Those are called grid lines. Those are horizontal ones, and just take those out like this. If you want to change actual specific things, you can double click on an area, and you can change, say, the font. You can change the scaling of this is a vertical axis. Etc., etc. If you want to change these little points here, you can click on them and go and format them so you can fill them in a different color, maybe black. You don't need lines around them, so you can just give them little, oops, that's wrong, so just undo it, little black lines. I don't want them to be little dots or little diamonds. I want them to be circles. So you can go into your chart here, and you can just, I just double clicked, I can go to marker cell. Instead of the diamond, which is automatic, you can make circles. You can change the size of those circles, and then you can just resize this graph to the size that you want it, and you start getting a graph once you play around with this that looks a whole lot more, let me just delete it, a whole lot more like this graph, which is quite a nice dot plot, and you can easily export this picture to a Word file or to an image that you might want to use in a project. So just a sneaky little workaround. There's other ways to do this as well, but a sneaky little workaround in Excel for creating a dot plot.